10% motivation, but the 80% that you are going to need requires discipline. So my aim here is today to just give you some introspect on a business model. First and foremost, so before we go into that, so here's some statistics. I usually hate to do statistics, but here's some statistics that says that over the last 50 years, the average lifespan of a companies have shrunk from 60 to 80 years. What does it mean? So back in the day, we used to have companies such as your Shoprite Checkers and your Metropolitan and so forth, and those organizations are far. Like Metropolitan is almost 100 years old. Shoprite and Checkers, your Spar group in this country, is about 60 years old, 60 to 70 years old. But we find that the lifespan of organizations within the country is on a constant decline, whereby we used to have where a normal business would have a life expectancy of 60 years, and that subsequently is dropping down to an average about 18 years. If we go a little bit deeper into this, we would find that 50% of the companies that were started, let's say in the year 2022, 50% of them would survive the year, and 35% would survive. So we would have a failure rate of about 50% of at the end of this year. Eventually we will see in the year 2032. So if you think about it, it actually is quite scary. Okay. Now, or looking into the reason why, what are the top 20 reasons why some of these companies or startups fail is, first and foremost, no need for the market. It could be that the company has run out of cash. Whom of you have traded during COVID? And how was it? It was horror. So some of us have actually, lost our businesses fully and completely. I'm one of those who had a little business, and I simply just ran out of cash because we could not fund, you understand, the disaster any longer. So some of the reasons be that you are sometimes outcompeted. It might be pricing, cost issues, it might be a poor product that you releasing to the market, or it even might be just the lack of a business model. It even might be that your product is so advanced and for the moment it is mistimed. So there are various reasons why. But when we look here at the bottom, as you can see that 46% of business failures actually come due to incompetence. We are not necessarily saying that you are incompetent, but it could mean that that sometimes the pricing is emotional. Do you understand? What does it mean to have emotional pricing? Excuse me? Sure, please take a shot. Remember here, this is a capacity, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. So please share so that we can share it amongst each other. You may go, sir. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely correct, sir. So what it essentially means is that we make prices based on our emotions, and we do not do proper research in terms of our pricing. So it could mean that we decide that, let's say a product is worth 50,000, but due to the fact that there is some sort of demand, we also might feel that, oh, for the moment when this came up, the price is too cheap. And then what do? Because it's emotional, it's an emotional decision, we increase the price. But that necessarily is bad for the business. And as Kaylee explained now at the same time, the opposite is possible, whereby we might be under financial pressure and you do not necessarily want to lose the sale. And you take an emotional decision and sell this product most probably at a loss in order to keep the sale. So those are some of the things. No knowledge of pricing. So we might not have any knowledge of pricing, or there could be a lack of planning or no knowledge of financing. Right. Number two, 30% lack of managerial experience. 30% is relatively small. In my personal opinion, some of the stuff most definitely might be figured out. There's a lot of stuff that we can learn in the but as you can see, 30% is not necessarily there's still 70% left if you build on a premise of you've got a strong team. 11 is lack of industry experience. So what it essentially means that nobody has failed in business due to their lack of experience, which in turn boils down to number 2. Okay, 10 reasons why businesses fail to grow. Number 1, no business plan. And by this, I do not necessarily mean that you now need to have a fully fledged business plan. You just need to have a plan as to how you are to operate your business. Number 7, unhappy employees. And number 4, inefficient operations. Okay. Why established businesses fail is there might be financial reasons, such as poor management of cash flow or inadequate or improper financing. But one of the biggest there that is pointed out is actually the non-financial reason, which is the lack of management control. And then obviously significant external shock. So COVID essentially came as a non-financial reason why some of the businesses failed due to significant external shock. Moving on. We are going to speak today where we are going to deal with the crux of this thing is that we are going to deal with a business model. What is a business model? So, a business model describes the rationale of how an organization creates and delivers and captures value. So, the mistake that many entrepreneurs, especially when they start out, is that they think that my brilliant business idea automatically translates into a business. To a certain extent, you are right, but there are certain factors that we are going to discuss during the course of this workshop, and my idea here today, or my vision for this workshop today, is that I might guide you and give you some ideas and some considerations that you need to make in order to make sure that when you plan your business ahead, there are certain things that you consider. Okay. A business model canvas is basically like a blueprint or a strategy to be implemented through the organizational structures, processes, and system. So, if you remember correctly, we spoke a little bit about the fact that you need to have a business plan. When I spoke about a business plan, I was not speaking about the 200-page document that we need to necessarily draw up. It is good. We need that for finance, and I don't want to take that away in any way, shape, or form. What I am speaking about here today is your business plan in terms of what is your business blueprint. What is the organizational structure? What are the foundations that your business will be built on? If you look at the picture, the blue picture there on your right, my left, what do we usually draw on such blue papers? What do we usually draw? Excuse me? It is business, it's plans, it's house plans that we usually draw on a blueprint. Why do we draw such a blueprint? To determine each and every dimension of that. Now, you are willing to do that when you one day develop your house, you draw up a plan on the exact dimensions of your house. Where will the door be? Where will the window be? How high will your house be? Will it be a single-story house, a double-story house? Why is it that, especially as small entrepreneurs, we do not do the same? So, my mission is today to teach you as to how do you draw up that blueprint for your organization so that you can have, just as your house, you would have a blueprint of your business that looks at every single aspect involved in making your business a success. Okay.
And an idea they believed could become a great business. It's the story of how they succeeded. And if you're an entrepreneur or any explore it, manage it, and plan for it. What if there was a tool that could help you with this challenge, simply and visually? A tool that makes it easier to stress test your ideas, track your progress, and avoid breaking the bank along the way. What if it was possible to design and test business models in a way that gives your idea a better shot at rising to the level of the great businesses that are shaping our world? It is. And though the journey for these guys, and for you, won't be a walk in the park, all you'll need is your creativity, willingness to work, and passion for your idea. We'll give you the rest.
Okay. There are 9 building blocks of a business model canvas. And through this capacitation building session, we're going to look at your current business model that you might have, and we're going to see what it is that, or point out some of the things that you might have to change or might have to look at in terms of building capacity for your business. Okay. So the 9 building blocks of the business model canvas are: number 1, customer segments; number 2, value propositions, channels; number 4, customer relationships; number 5, revenue streams; number 6, key resources; number 7, key activities; number 8, key partnerships; and number 9, key structures. I'm happy for you guys to take a canvas. So a business model canvas is essentially forms your blueprint for your business. So each and every business has their own business model. And we are only making use of normal principles. And these are successful businesses that you know that are built on these 9 building blocks. May we continue? May we proceed? Okay. First one. I'm going to start with the one that we all know, customer segment. So the first thing when you start out your businesses, the first thing is that who is Who am I going to speak to? Who am I going to serve? Who am I going to sell to? That's usually where we start. We've got a brilliant idea around the business, but the first thing that we usually think about is our customer segmentation. So, the customer segments building block defines the different groups of people or organization an enterprise aims to reach and serve. Okay, when we speak about the customer segments, we speak about customers comprise the heart of any business model. Without profitable customers, no company can survive for long. In order to better satisfy customers, a company may group them into distinct segments with common needs and behaviors and other attributes. A business model may define one or several large or small customer segments. An organization must take a conscious decision about which segments to serve and which segments to ignore. What that essentially means is that we do not have to serve each and every customer. There's some customers that fall within our segment, and then there is other customers that fall out of that scope. So, you must determine, based on your business model, who is your ideal customer. And everything that you do within your business planning would be geared towards that. But we need to determine what is your customer segment. Let's make a few examples. If you are going to open a chisanyama in the location, what would your customer segment look like? Who is your customer? And what are their needs? What are their income? What is the LSM level? Because that ultimately determines how you're going to structure your business. It is very, very important. So sometimes we would make the general mistake that if we do not do our customer segmentation correctly, we miss out on a lot of sales because we do not understand who our customers are. What do they want? What do they need? Okay, going a little bit further, looking into that, so there are some examples of customer segments. So the first one is a mass market. Mass market business models focus on mass markets and don't distinguish between different customer segments. Such an example, for instance, would be Macro. Macro is a mass market segmentation due to the fact that they have a product in bulk for everyone. They would literally sell a product for the lowest consumer to the high-end consumer. So meaning that they would sell milli-meal to trailers. And the segmentation is for the mass market. Then you get a niche market, which most of us specialize in. So niche market business models targeting niche markets to cater to specific specialized customer segments. If I can give an example of that is a UFO. I don't know if you guys know the company called UFO or Goma Goma. They cater for a niche market. I don't think you'll find a product under 20,000. So they have their specific market, but they understand the market that they cater for. So that is, for instance, an example of a niche market. Then a segmented market is some business models distinguish between market segments with slightly different needs and problems. So, ShopRite Checkers essentially is one group. Are you with me? But they've got segmentations. They've got the ShopRite part of it, which caters to a low to medium LSM. And they've got the checker side of the business, which caters from a medium to a high LSM. Not that they want to discriminate against anybody, but because ShopRite is the biggest retailer in Africa, due to the fact that they were able to make that determination, because now they are able to provide services, a specific, it's almost as if they are providing a niche service to the lower LSM, and they are providing a niche service to the higher LSM. You guys do know what LSM stands for? Living Standard Measure. Okay. Diversified segmentation is an organization with a diversified customer business model who serves two unrelated customer segments with very different needs and problems. One example of a diversified segmentation is Amazon. Who knows Amazon? What does Amazon, when Amazon started out, what did they sell? Books. What do they sell today? Everything. Not to say that they've forgotten about the Kindle. They haven't. But they sell everything else. So their market is diversified. Okay? Multi-sided platforms or multi-sided markets. Some organizations serve two or more interdependent customer segments. Such an example, for instance, would be the Spar Group. So the Spar Group obviously sells groceries, but they also have a division called Build It. Did you know that? So Build It is part of the Spar Group, but essentially, what Spar does as a business and what Build It does as a business are two. One sells cement and the other one sells food. But it's multi-sided, just to give you an example. Okay. Does everybody understand customer segmentation? So you need to determine who is your ideal customer. Who are you going to sell to? And sometimes what the challenge that we have is that we think that based on our own experiences and our background, that our customer segmentation needs to be geared towards that, which is a lie. Some of us might be coming from a poor background, but the product that we produce and serve to our customers might be for a medium to a high LSM. You just need to understand the difference. Or it might be that you're ultra rich and you want to open a supermarket in the township. All that is required from you is that you must understand segmentation. So your personal circumstances, especially to young entrepreneurs, has nothing to do with your market segmentation. Your product in itself will determine who is your ideal customer segment. Everybody clear? May we move on? Okay. So now that we understand our customers, yeah, we now need to look at our value propositions. What is value propositions? So when we look at value propositions, we look at the physical product, supply and demand. Now we are in the game. Supply versus demand. Value propositions building block describes the bundle of products and services that create value for specific customers. I want us to come to a point where we, especially as small entrepreneurs, we should not only look at the product in itself, we should look at the product as a part of a value proposition. What value proposition am I providing to my customers? That is essentially what is important. Look, if you compare two supermarkets, if you compare, let's say, Pick n Pay to Spar, what is the difference between them? They essentially sell exactly the same product from exactly the same supplier. Are you with me? What makes them different is the value proposition, the value that they add to that product when they sell it to you. And remember, we spoke about customer segmentation. If I can give an example, and I'm going to be slightly biased here, and I'm going to say that the expectancy when you walk into a ShopRite checkout is completely different from your expectation when you walk into a Checkers store, although they belong to the same retailer. What do you expect that is different? Okay, but why do you not expect it from the other one? Services and standards, you are correct. I think Trevor Noah spent years making jokes about it. But essentially, he was making a joke and referring to this specific concept that we call value propositions. What is the little bit of extra? Do you mind if I put down the mic? It's making a little bit of a noise. Can everybody hear me? Okay? Is it? Okay, no, 100%. So, the difference is that there's a certain standard that the one has, and there's a certain standard that the other has. But essentially, what you feel it in the value proposition. So, if you are going to sell a product, what do you sell, if I may ask, ma'am? Okay, what would you like to sell in your ideal business? You would like to sell? Poultry. Okay. So, there are a lot of guys out here who is doing exactly the same thing. They are also selling poultry. So, when you build your business model, you want to look at your value proposition. Essentially, you and your competitor will both be selling poultry, you'll both be selling chicken. What value proposition are you going to give your customer that shows that you are a little bit more superior to your competitor? And why the customer? That segmentation that you chose, why must they choose you? Okay, so looking into value propositions, if we move forward, so the value proposition is the reason why customers turn from one company over to another, although they are selling exactly the same product. Okay, it solves the customer problems or satisfies the customer's need. So, any business will become irrelevant if they do not meet the need of the customer. Each value proposition consists of a selected bundle of products and or services that caters to the requirements of a specific customer segment. So, it means that if we're going to run this poultry farm, we first and foremost need to understand what is our customer segmentation. So, if we look at a lower LSM, what do they prefer to buy in terms of poultry? Eggs, okay? But all of us use eggs throughout the whole LSM spectrum. But when we look at the lower LSM, what do they prefer to buy? Live chickens. So it means that when you set out your product and your market or your customer segmentation is for the lower LSM, for instance, you need to make sure that you sell those chickens live. When you enter into a medium LSM, the medium LSM does not want live chickens. They want it slaughtered. But you must add the gizzards. When we look at the higher LSM, they want that same chicken, but you must give them a breast that has been deboned. It is simply an example, and it's not meant to cut corners, but as a business person, you need to understand customer segmentation in order for you to provide a proper value proposition to your customer. Are you with me? So it might mean that you need to slaughter these chickens, sell them whole, or you need to slaughter these chickens and pack them in 4x4s. Are you with me? But you need to understand the value proposition that you want to give your customer, but before you take that decision, you must understand your customer segment. If it means that remember we spoke about a multi-customer segmentation where you say, some of my chickens I'm going to sell live, some of my chickens I'm going to slaughter and sell them as whole birds, and some of my chickens I'm going to slaughter into, what do we call them, 4x4s, thighs and drumsticks and breasts and so forth. But you need to understand that segmentation in order for you This essentially will form part of your business model. When you build your business model, you need to understand the customer segmentation first and foremost. Who are you serving? Who is my ideal customer, first and foremost? Secondly, what is the value that I can provide that will outshine my competitors? So, others may be similar to existing market offers, but with added features and attributes. So, you can even copy your competitor's business model and make it better. Sometimes we do not need to reinvent the wheel, but maybe add a Dunlop tire. Wouldn't you say that's nice? Okay. So, a value proposition creates value for a customer segment through a distinct mix of elements catering to that segment's needs. As we said here, as you can see in the pictures on your right, those pictures will continually develop. So where did we start off? So if we move over onto this side, as you can see here, if I can go back quickly, this is our ideal customer, and this is our value proposition. We now need to find a way to connect the two. And I suppose with small entrepreneurs, I've even made the mistake, there's nothing special about me, is that I've got a brilliant business idea, and all I want to do is I want to take this brilliant product that out and I want to sell it to the world. And that is where, especially as small entrepreneurs, that is where we make the cardinal mistake. So, here are some of the mix of elements catering for that segment's needs. Number one is newness. So sometimes customers are caught by the fact that a product is new. So some value propositions satisfy an entirely new set of needs that customers previously didn't perceive because there was no similar offering. If I can give you such an example, is what is it called? Uber. Uber is the company. So back in the day, especially in South Africa, the only thing that we were used to is the fact that we hop onto a taxi, we wait until it gets full, and now we come to town, and then when we come back, we hop into a taxi, we wait until it's full, and you pay the money, and that is our normal cycle. Now Uber has come onto the space whereby I no longer have to wait. I call the cab to me. He comes and picks me up and takes me wherever I need to go. I don't need to follow a specific route and jump onto 5 taxis anymore. I now can have a single transport from one destination to another, but it comes at a premium, of course. But, so, sometimes we do not necessarily have the luxury in time, and you'll find it in business, where you don't have the luxury of time. But because you don't have the luxury of time, you still need to produce, and your customers are demanding. So sometimes you'll enter into agreements and have to find solutions, and then you'll make use of the newness, where you'll innovate a product that might serve a market that has been untouched before. Okay, performance. So sometimes we need to improve our performance and our service. Improving our product and service performance has traditionally been a common way to create value. What are we selling to the customers? Do we sell a product or do we sell value? We have to sell value, people. So service, let's say you sell. So if I can make an example, a KFC Streetwise 2, I'm sorry to be calling names, but essentially these examples exist. And a Streetwise 2 means so much more to me when it is sold to me with the most amazing service. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? So sometimes just an improvement of service. So service doesn't necessarily mean that I need to stand in front of the customer. I just need to be prompt. I need to have the product available. So my performance should be on top of its game. Customization. Tailoring products and services to a specific needs of individual customers or customer segments creates value. So one of my first businesses I've ever had was, it's a very customized business, meaning that each and every product that I put out to the customer is unique. So you could even fall into a value proposition where you sell a specific product to a customer, and you can then add a little bit of a customization, for instance, to the customer's product in order to add value. One example I can give, for instance, is, have you seen if you've driven behind a truck, and on the trailer of the truck, they would actually engrave the business's name on there. It's a value proposition. So the manufacturers of the trailer actually did that as a value proposition to its customer. Or it could be that you, for instance, design a table and chair to the customer's specifications to the T. Those usually come at a premium, but essentially it is a market that you will explore, and is one of the things when you build your business model you need to look at in terms of the value proposition you provide to the customers. Another value proposition would be getting the job done. You are the go-getter, and you are that person who gets the job done, and you get the job done in a record time. It is a value proposition over and above the product that you sell, that you provide to the customer, that is a value proposition unlike no other. Design. Design is an important but difficult element to measure. A product may stand out because of a superior design. This is where bakeries make it. Because when you shop at a bakery, how do you buy? What do you buy with? It needs to be a visual presentation. A bakery success, me myself coming from having a retail background, a bakery success lies in the confectionery, because bread and buns are all the same color. It is the confectionery that sells the bakery. Just like that. So, by design, you need to look at the design of your product and the deliverance of your product, and that will help you to provide a value proposition to your customer. Any questions before we move on? Everybody still clear? Everybody still understands? I still have everybody on board. 100%. The value proposition, brand and status. As you can see there at the bottom, see Business Consultants is my brand. A brand has the ability to outlive a person. Metropolitan is a brand. But customers may find value in the simple act of using and displaying a specific brand. It comes with, we've trusted it over the year like Hoover. We no longer buy a Hoover because of it is a vacuum cleaner. We simply buy it because 5 to 10 years. So sometimes your value proposition is the brand. And the brand, as I said, the person that lives on. And people might not necessarily remember your name, but they will remember your brand. Okay. Value at a lower price is a common way to satisfy the needs of price-sensitive customer segments. So price also, we can't say necessarily that it is not important, but a price perception can also be used as a value proposition to our customers. I've explained to you the relationship between Shoprite and Checkers. It's a price issue. Cost reduction, helping customers to reduce cost is an important way to create value. I don't think I need to go into too much depth in terms of cost reduction. All I'm going to say is, when we speak about cost reduction, when we do cost reduction, we must make sure that we need to do the sum when we do cost reduction, so that you do not undervalue the product too far. Risk reduction. Customers value the reducing of risks they incur when purchasing products or services. So sometimes, when we have a product and we can reduce the risk on behalf of the customer values that as a value proposition. So, if we can reduce the customer's risk, we are number one to them. Can anybody give me an example how we can reduce the risk for a customer? This is what security companies sell, what an insurance company sells. Risk reduction. They want to reduce your risk as a value proposition, and that's why we stick to insurance companies, even though sometimes we cannot necessarily afford it, but it covers the risks for us. So if we can give that as a value proposition to a customer, absolutely amazing. Okay, accessibility, making products and services available to customers who previously lacked access to them, is another way to create value. If we can take our product, which does well in the city, and we take it to somewhere where people need the product, but it's not necessarily so accessible. So meaning that we sometimes need to look at innovative ways to bring our market to the people that need it. So retailers, I don't know if you've noticed, but SPAR has done something amazing. And what they've done basically is taken the supermarket model to the people on the ground by doing something called SPAR Express. Pick n Pay has done it by taking the Pick n Pay product or the Pick n Pay business to the locations and calling it QualiSave. Shoprite has done it. What is Shoprite's model called? You Save. How do we make the same product that we have in the cities and we make it accessible to people who can't otherwise access it? Convenience, usability. Making things more convenient and easier to use can create substantial value. Convenience. Maybe we should just stay open later if our business model allows. So supermarkets usually close, and if I can explain, we've got Bobby shops, who by the way is worth about 5 billion rand in this country. The Bobby shops in our communities. How is their business? What is their business model built on? Convenience. Because 6 o'clock when I need a bread, they are open. And tonight, 9 o'clock, when we still have visitors and we need some more cool drink, they are open. And they've created a market segmentation, or they entered a market segmentation that we thought was not there, just by having or being convenient. Okay, moving on to the next part, block number 3, is basically where we connect our value proposition to the customer segmentation. And we do that through a channel. So, the channel's building block describes how a company communicates or reaches its customer segments to deliver its value proposition. You guys may take a photo of this before we move on. Okay. When we deal with channels, channels is finding the right mix of channels to satisfy how customers want to be reached is crucial in bringing value propositions to the market. So, our normal channels that we would find is our direct channels, which would obviously be our reps. We've got a counter. We engage them through our web. We have telephones that they can contact us on, or our call centers, or it could be our own stores. And then there would obviously be indirect way of getting our product out to the stores. AE being that we've got partner stores, we've got retailers, we've got wholesalers, and these things are also available online. So, first and foremost, when we get to channel, there are certain phases that we need to consider. When you do your business model, there are certain phases that you need to consider. So the first phase is awareness. How do we raise awareness about our company's products and services? Evaluation, how do we help customers evaluate our organization's value proposition? Number 3, purchase, how do we allow customers to purchase a specific product or service? Delivery, how do we deliver that value proposition to our customers? And obviously after sales, if there is a defect on the product, how do we fix that issue? If I may ask a valid question or a valid question in terms of channels. So, why do you think if you buy any appliances, they give you a 2-year guarantee, for instance? Why? Excuse me, ma'am? Lifespan. Okay. Anybody else? Confidence in their product. What else? Anything else? Both of you are correct, but it's actually to protect the integrity of the brand. That is the actual purpose why they give, so that, remember, your broken product has the possibility of changing the perception of the brand. So the brand owners are trying to protect the integrity of the brand by offering you a guarantee. A 2-year warranty that if anything happens to this product, we'll gladly return it for you. We would even provide you with a different one. So one of my favorite brands, as you most probably might have heard, is Spar. Spar, for instance, would give a double your money back guarantee that if you are unhappy with a product or a product is defective, let's say milk is sour, you may return that product for double your money back. They even put it on the product to say that we will give you double your money back guarantee on our Spar products if you find it defective. The purpose of that is not necessarily to speak about the product, but it is to protect the integrity of the brand. That they are saying to the customers that we are so confident in the product that we put out, that we are willing to give back double the money you paid for this product. Okay. After sales is very, very important. You ultimately need to think that if you are going to manufacture a product, what will your after sales be? Because it drives the perception of the customer. And I've got a saying, well, it's an old saying, but I like to use the saying that lose money, we can always recuperate it. But when you lose reputation, that is the end of a business. And that's why companies go to extreme lengths to protect what? Not money, but reputation. How do you communicate? What channels can customers access you and make contact with you? Customer relationships, customer service. The customer relationships building block describes the type of relationships a company wishes to establish with specific customer segments. So, how do you love your customers? How do you show your customers love? How do you connect with your customers? So, we can distinguish between several categories of customer relationships which may coexist in a company's relationship with a particular customer segment. It could be personal assistant that we speak to the customer directly. It could be dedicated personal assistance. The relationship involves dedicating a customer representative specifically to a client, such as the banks. The banks are very good in doing that, where they'll have a personal or a relationship banker which you can phone to speak to and to sort out your issue. Automated services. This type of relationship mixes a more sophisticated form of customer self-service with automated processes. So I think the biggest innovation we've had, or there might be other ones, but I think the biggest and the most successful one is the ATM. We no longer have to walk into a bank to withdraw money. You now can withdraw money any time of day due to the fact that we've got an automated teller machine called an ATM. Communities. Increasingly, companies are utilizing user communities to become more involved with customers. So the very same community you serve, if you give back, it is a channel for you to connect with your customers. And then co-creation, more companies are going beyond the traditional customer-vendor relationship to co-create value for customers. A big and a great example is the relationship between Seed Business Consultants and the Free State Black Business Chamber. We've got a common and a shared value to provide value to all of you. Revenue streams. Revenue streams building block represents the cash a company generates from each customer segment. Costs must be subtracted from revenues in order to create your actual earnings. I just wanted to use that as a disclaimer. So when we look at the revenue streams, is how do you make your money? Where does your money come from? So there are several ways to generate revenue streams. First and foremost is your asset sale. The most widely understood revenue stream derives from selling ownership rights to a physical product. I sell vacuum cleaners. I'm selling my vacuum cleaners that I manufacture, I sell them to you. And the value proposition I provide you is obviously the longevity of the product, the reliability of the product, which is an added value, but the revenue stream essentially is coming from the actual sale of the vacuum cleaner. Okay, usage fee. So the revenue stream is generated by the use of a particular services. Netflix is such an example. So we use the platform, and that is how Netflix obviously generates their income, from the usage of their platform. And you can watch movies, essentially what you want to do, but you can watch it on your own time, whenever you want to, and all you need to do is pay the usage fee or the subscription fee. So revenue streams is generated through the selling of continuous access to a service. Lending and renting and leasing, the most common ones. The revenue stream is created by temporarily granting someone the exclusive right to use a particular asset for a fixed period of time for a fee. And then obviously licensing, the revenue stream is generated by giving customers permission to use the protected intellectual property in exchange for licensing fees. Then, there are several ways to generate revenue streams. Another one would be brokerage fees. The general revenue stream derives from the intermediation services performed on behalf of two or more parties. Advertising, this revenue stream results from fees for advertising a particular product and services or a brand. Each revenue stream might have a different pricing mechanisms. The type of pricing mechanism chosen can make a big difference in terms of revenue generated. Okay. So there are two types of main price fixing pricing mechanisms, fixed and dynamic pricing. Are you with me? So can you see how the business model is developing on your right? We've dealt with customer service, we've dealt with the value proposition, we've dealt with the channels, we've dealt with the customer relationships, and that is how we generate our revenue. Are you still with me? Anybody lost? Can we move on? Okay, so when we look at revenue streams, we look at pricing mechanisms. So we've got fixed menu pricing, and then we've got dynamic pricing. These are the two pricing mechanisms that we have. So fixed menu pricing usually refers to prices, predefined prices based on statistic variables, like for instance the list price. It might be product feature dependent, it might be customer segment dependent, or it might be volume dependent. So if I can give an example, for instance, of a volume dependent price system is, I don't know if you're well aware of the fact that SAB makes use of a volume dependent price system. So meaning that their business and their profits are generated through selling beer, but in volumes at a very small margin. But their value that they generate from that, or their pricing mechanism that they use, it's volume dependent. So in order for SAB to stay successful, they need to sell volumes. Okay? Dynamic pricing. Prices change based on the market conditions. So that happens usually during when we sell food. So it would be either negotiation, like parts, whereby you could negotiate with the person that sells. So there is space for negotiation or bargaining. Yield management, the price depends on the inventory at the time of purchase, so supply and demand. And then real-time market, the price is established dynamically based on supply and demand, such as gold and silver and platinum. And then obviously auctions, predetermined by outcome or competitive bidding. So there are different price mechanisms that you can use, but we would use all these guidelines to guide us when we do our business model. Everybody clear? Can we move on? Okay. Key resources, one of the most important ones. The key resources building block describes the most important assets required to make a business model work. What are the resources that you need in order for you to be successful, or for your production schedule, or for your production to be on point so that you can serve your customer segment? What do you need in order to be successful? So when you're going to have a poultry farm, what is it that you need in order to be successful? What do you need? Let's have a few examples. If we were to start a poultry farm today, what will we need? Just a few stuff that we can think of. Say again? Workers. What else? Physical structure, building structure, okay? What else? Machines. Machines to do what? This is where the devil lies in the detail, Musna. So you need machines. What kind of machines do you need? A plucking machine? What else? Lights? Growers? Food? Water? This is just to name a few. I suppose with each and every business that you enter into, you will look at these key resources one by one, but you need to be able to make a determination as to what are the resources that you might need in order to ensure that you guys are successful. What are the resources that you need that will put you on to the next level? So some of the key resources, they are physical resources. So we're going to do the categories over here. So it is physical resources that you need. So this will be the physical assets, such as the buildings, the vehicles, the machines, the point of sale systems, and the distribution networks. Yeah? The intellectual resources you might need are the brands, the proprietary knowledge, the patents, the copyrights, the partnerships, and the customer databases. The human resources will be physically the people that will work for you and the skills that they might need. So you need to have some sort of consideration of the skills that you need in order to be successful, or in order to run a sustainable business and a profitable business. So, financial resources, some of the business models calls for financial resources such as financial guarantees, cash, lines of credit, or whatever resources you might need in terms of financing. Okay. Moving over, key activities. What are the things that we need to what are the things that we need to do extremely well in this business in order to meet our customers' needs? What are the things that we are supposed to, if we leave this thing out, it is very, very crucial and important that if we need to understand what is it that we need to do on a daily basis with our resources that we have in order to make sure that we put out a product to the customer. Are you with me? Those are the key activities. Okay, so key activities can be categorized as follows. Production, most probably one of the most important things. The activities relate to designing, making, and delivering a product in substantial qualities and of superior quality. Problem solving, we need to be able to, if one of the machines break, it obviously hampers production, first and foremost. We need to understand what needs to be done, who needs to be called in order to make sure that we keep the production line down for a minimal time period. We need to be able to have problem-solving mechanisms in place in order to make sure that we are running at full capacity for most of the time. Platform or network, business models designed with a platform is a key resource and are dominated by platform or network-related key activities, such as my own consulting firm makes use of a key resource which is called Business Builder, for instance. It has mechanisms built in to identify certain things. But if that resource is down, it poses a bit of a problem for my business. Are you with me? So we need to look at certain platforms and networks that we might need. Whether or not you need them is a totally different story, but it is something for you to consider within your business. Okay. Moving on, we're almost finished. Key partnerships. Who are the people that we need to form partnerships with that are crucial to our success? Who is our suppliers? Who do we need in order to make sure? Who is part of our network that ensures our success? The key building partnerships building block describes the network of suppliers and partners that make our business model work. Okay, it can be useful to distinguish between the three motivations for creating partnerships. So first is optimization and economy of scale. The most basic form of partnerships or buyer-supplier relationships is designed to optimize the allocation of resources and activities. If I may give an example, so when you, for instance, are in the liquor industry, just by the supplier giving you a minimal credit, do you understand? Gives you your business access to some buying power and certain terms that you can buy on. Let's say 14 days or 7 days. That 7 days is a lot. And you would not believe, but that is the foundations of growth, because now essentially your key partner is funding your growth. So your key partnerships that you make are very, very important, especially when you want to scale your business. Are you with me? So your suppliers, for instance, give you that credit agreement to help you scale, because they allow you, they give you some sort of buying power, and especially when a business is on the upward growth, it is very, very important that there is some sort of working capital. And when a supplier gives you some sort of agreement or buying terms, it allows you to buy a little bit bigger, especially in a small business, and it gives you that opportunity to, aid your growth. Reduction of risk and certainty. Partnerships can help reduce the risk in a competitive environment characterized by uncertainty, acquisition of particular resources and activities. Few companies own all of the resources or perform all of the activities by their business models. So they also have reliable partners. Let's make an example of this, for instance. So, does Clover have a store? No. So they rely on supermarkets as a strategic partner or a key partner to perform the activities of business. So sometimes it means that you must be able to identify that, especially as a small entrepreneur, when you need help, find key partnerships. When you have a magnificent product, but you are selling it one-on-one, make sure that you've got some sort of key partnerships with a distribution channel to get your product out there. Some of the most, hello ma'am and welcome. So some of the most, let's make an example. So some of your big poultry farmers don't necessarily sell the chickens one-on-one. They sell it through a key partner. And it is distributed in that way. So you need to understand, as you are scaling your model, in what direction are you moving towards? Are you going to sell to your customers based on your segmentation, or are you selling through distribution channels? And if you're going to sell through distribution channels, who are those key partners that fit your business model in order to get your product out to the customer? Cost structure is the last element there. The cost structure describes all costs incurred to operate your business model. So once you have done all these things, decided on your customer segment, you've decided on what value proposition you're going to provide to your customer, you've decided what channels you're going to use, how you're going to build relationships with them, you've discovered what are your key resources that you need in order to build your business, you've discovered what are the key partnerships you're supposed to have, and what are the key activities. You then can come up with a cost structure so that in order to operate, how much will it cost the company? And it's very, very important that when we've got our cost structure under the belt, we know how much it costs so that our pricing segment from a feasibility standpoint is clear. Okay. Cost structure. Naturally enough, costs should be minimized in every business model, but low-cost structures are more important to some business models than others. So, we might find that our cost structure is cost-driven. So the cost-driven business models focus on minimizing costs wherever possible. Cost structures can have the following characteristics. Number one, fixed costs. So, for instance, a company can say that, okay, we've got a fixed cost, so we've determined based on the product that we sell and the amount of volumes that we projected for this of year, we are going to run a EDL promotion, everyday low price, and we are going to keep the price of bread at 18 Rand for the rest of the year. Are you with me? So that's a fixed cost. Then we've got variable costs, whereby depending on supply and demand, and then obviously economics of scale. As we scale our business, it is usually cheaper to produce, so we can play there. And then obviously economics of scope. Value-driven could sometimes mean, or could mean, that some companies are less concerned about the cost implications of a particular business model design, and instead focus on the value creation. So when something, if I may give an example of a value-driven cost structure, we speak about, let's say, Louis Vuitton. They don't have a price tag, and they're not concerned about the price. Not at all. Because their customer segmentation does not mind the price. Same with Lamborghini, same with Bentley, and all these luxury brands. They are value-driven. So you need to understand, or you need to decide when you are building your business model and looking at the product that you sell, will you be cost-driven? Will you look at you are price-sensitive, or you are value-driven? And why it is important at the moment is that the approach that you take will determine your way forward. What is the approach that you're taking? Is it a cost-driven structure, or are you taking a value-driven structure? And everything else will be dominated by that. Okay. Is anybody clear? Does everybody have questions on the business model? I would like to now show you a short video where we bring all of this together.
This is the business model canvas. It's just what Beth and Carl will need to craft a powerful business model, and it can do the same for you. Let's dive in and see how it works. There are 9 essential building blocks that make up any business model. When you get all 9 blocks working together, you'll have answered the fundamental questions any business model must solve. We'll start here with customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. Channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the types of relationships you're establishing with your customers and how you're acquiring and retaining them. Pricing mechanisms through which your business model captures value are documented under revenue streams. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model, so you can describe the infrastructure you need to create, deliver, and capture value. The key activities show which things you need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. Any business model can be mapped this way: 9 building blocks working to reinforce and strengthen each other. But before you make a model for yourself, it helps to see what a breakthrough business model looks like in action, like this one. Low-cost airlines revolutionized air travel thanks to their disruptive business model. Let's first look at their value proposition. A low-cost airline offers ultra-cheap flights to their main customer segment, budget travelers, by adopting a no-frills policy. And this leads to additional revenue streams, because customers pay for their ticket and additional fees on items like food and drink, priority boarding, and luggage. The airlines save even more money through their choice of channels, selling only through call centers and the internet, making for efficient, if not always convenient, customer relationships that are automated and often impersonal. Okay, that covers the right side of the canvas, the part everyone can see. The left side of the canvas is what's going on backstage. Like their choice of key resources, they reduce maintenance and training costs by using a single aircraft model for the whole fleet. And they only fly to cheap airports where it's cost efficient to land, or where they even get paid to touch down. Planes that do land have quick turnarounds, so they get back in the air earning money as quickly as possible. And they form key partnerships with others in the travel industry, like car rental, hotel, and insurance companies. Finally, under cost structures, all maintenance, training, airport, and call centre costs are trimmed to their lowest levels. All of these pieces working together make their fares almost impossible for traditional airlines to compete with. There's nothing superior about these airlines except their business models. They're reaching an entirely new segment of travellers out of reach for traditional airlines. Cutting out costs is pretty exciting, right? But wait, just because it's successful for discount airlines doesn't mean it will work for your idea. Luckily, the business model canvas allows you to iterate many models and test them quickly. Let's get started with your own business idea.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, Avril. And we are now going to the question and answer session. So you're not supposed to run away yet, so that if there's any questions that need clarity, I think we'll just take a round, and then you can respond to the questions. Maybe you can come to the front.
Yeah. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Arrow. I just wanted to ask, in terms of your cost structure that you were talking about,
Yes.
so as an entrepreneur myself,
Yeah.
what are those fixed costs that you think this is what you need to have in place?
So, what do you do first and foremost?
At this stage, I'm currently a reseller.
You are
Reseller.
a reseller. So, in terms of a reseller, we physically have to look at what do you need. Do you understand? In order to operate. So, what do you resell, if I may ask?
It's water, basically.
Water reseller. Okay. So, obviously, your cost structure would be obviously your maintenance costs, your infrastructure costs, those types of costs you are looking at. Your what are the costs that you need in order to produce your product? Obviously, take us through the line, for instance. Maybe I can give a better answer.
I was asking in terms whereby, because now what I do is I buy it branded, obviously.
Okay?
So all I have to do is just to help with the marketing and just with the distribution as well.
Marketing and distribution. So over there, we're speaking about your distribution costs essentially. And what does it cost to market this product? Do you understand? Those are your costs because you are just a reseller. Do you understand? So what will it take for you to produce this and connect it to the correct customer segment? So obviously you'll need transportation, you'll need a little bit of infrastructure. You might have to rent a building if necessary, unless you've got another agreement with your, if you've got an agreement that your supplier delivers directly to your customer. You understand? So if that is the case, you understand, you'll evaluate that relationship. Or if it is sometimes required by a distributor or a reseller to get some of the stock and house some of the stock just to make the distribution a little bit easier for the customer. So you look at those types of costs. What are the things that you might need? And that your cost structure also constantly develops as your business develops. Do you understand? So if you enter another segmentation, let's say you enter now, you move some of your, another distribution channel would, for instance, be in Kimberley. There are other costs involved, but you need to look at what are the key resources, obviously, that is involved in generating, in order to generate a cost structure for that. I hope I've answered your question. Yes, hi. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Yes. So first and foremost, yeah, the business chamber can help. Okay. Lucky will respond to your question, but there is help. That is precisely what the chamber is there for, to assist you and link you to the correct channels to be able to assist you to get correct funding and so forth. Any other questions? Nothing.
So if there's no more questions, thank you very much, Avril. Thank you for giving us a lot of information. I know it's a lot of information to actually take in one session. That's why this is an introductory session. And as a member of the business chamber, you'll get to now get into the other detailed sort of sessions. So we will communicate when we'll have the next session. And what would be required for you to be a participant in that session. Basically, if you're a member of the chamber, you'll access the session. In terms of the business chamber assisting you with finance, what we do in terms of finance, because we don't finance ourselves, the chamber cannot finance your business, but like everyone was saying, what we do is just link you with people who can help you finance your business. And in terms of business plans, like Avril is a member of the chamber who works in the business consultancy space, we also have other members of the chamber who work in that space, who we can always negotiate on your behalf to actually discount any services or products that you might need from them. But in terms of finance, we'll also direct you to the DFIs. And also not just direct you to the DFI, but also follow up your case with the DFI. So if we say go meet somebody at the NEF or at CIFA, we'll actually follow up how your case is going. And also you can also give us feedback. If you feel like you've submitted your stuff, but these guys are not responding, it's our job to actually now find out, guys, a member of ours has applied, they applied on this date, they submitted X, where's the case? So that we can be able to give feedback, Most of the time we find that we might have sessions with a CIFA or CIDA or IDC. The hall would be full, and then after that, people will go and apply. But only for all of them to be rejected. And we also look at the gaps of why are they rejected. But to do that, we need to go in a case-by-case sort of thing. We can't do it as an umbrella or blanket sort of process. So that's where we come in and say, we'll sit with the consultant yourself and the people at the DFI, and they'll take us through your case. Then we can then see, okay, maybe this was not structured correctly. Maybe there was something that you couldn't articulate correctly in terms of your business plan, or your credit worthiness is an issue. How do we sort that out? We've had cases where the department would step in. Say now you were approved for finance, but you need to put 10% or 6%. The STEA or other entities of government have that mandate to step in. But in order for us to unlock it, it requires engagement. So that you only get when you're a member of the chamber in good standing. And I wanted to show you something, but I think my laptop is not functioning correctly because, oh, there it is. Maybe if you can just turn down just the light, just turn off the light a bit. I think, yeah, all of it, yeah. So basically, like I said before, these are the different tiers of membership to join the business chamber. So from informal business to small business, medium business, and big business. Membership for the business chamber is an annual membership. So once you pay your membership, we count that day to 12 months. For your membership to be valid. During the year or during the term of your membership, we always tell you if your membership is due to expire in advance. So if your membership is due to expire in 3 months' time, we'll tell you that your membership is due to expire in 3 months' time, 2 weeks, a week, until your membership expires. And if your membership expires, you don't just get cut off, the communication from the business chamber. We'll just alert you to now not reapply, but just pay your membership for the year. And then let me just, because now it's actually cooperating. Let me just go to this section. So here, can you guys see it? I think the projector is acting up. But it was so nice when everyone was doing it. Now because it's me, it's acting up. So basically, these are our different membership values. These are our general, the general values that you get. Like by value, I mean value proposition, right? So these cut across all membership, whether you are informal or small or big. So you always get, I think it's 5, it's not 4, it's 5. So advocacy you would still get, we can speak on your behalf. Networks, you can get to attend a number of networking sessions. Business support, would be one of the generic business support sessions. And credibility, by you joining the business chamber, it actually has a bit of credibility because when you're doing something with government, you can always tell them you're a member of the chamber, or with the private sector, you can always tell them you're a member of the chamber because government and private sector often comes to the business chamber to try and find either partners or participants in their programs. By programs, I would refer to enterprise and supplier development programs. So they said, like, we need people in the printing space who are BEE. Do you have these people? So we'll give them a list of our members and they can choose who they would want to do business with. And then the other one would be now the segmented one. Yeah. So here would be the segmented ones. Yeah. Oh, should I zoom in? Okay, cool. So here we say, when you join when you're a member of the chamber and you join as an informal business, what do you access? You get event discounts because informal businesses, startups or people who are actually trying out. So you get event discounts, but your discounts, because everybody gets a discount, informal, small, medium, and big. But for informal, your discount might be a 10% to join a session like this. But for a big business, because you pay more, your discount might be a 50%. You get what I'm saying? So every time when we advertise our events, we'd say, please attend our event. It costs this much, and you would know as a member what level you are on, and you'd know what is your fixed discount per session. So, for example, for informal, it will always be 10%. For small, it will be 20. Da 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 da. You get it. And then market access, we only do market access opportunities for small, medium, and big, because market access opportunities require compliance. And on an informal level, remember, your business is not registered, so you don't really have like tax clearances and company certificates and stuff like that. So we can't really step in terms of market access on that level. But where we step in terms of market access in informal is, for example, if you're a street vendor and you require a license from the municipality, then we can help you to say, this is how you get a license from the municipality. But we don't put it as a value per se. It's just an ad hoc thing that we do. And then ad space, like I mentioned when we started, we have a number of platforms that the chamber actually has in-house, our Facebook page, our website, the magazine that will be coming up, and so forth. So we would always make sure that as and when we do these things, there is advertising space for members. So with the money that you pay, we'd actually segment and break down how much advertising space you'd get on which platform. And then capacity workshops like you attended now, if you are on an informal level, you would always get a capacity workshop at a level of an introduction. But because capacity workshops only really, if Avril had to do this for the whole week and had to take you through the business builder, business model canvas, it would require a lot of IP from his side, which he charges for. So that you would get as a discount, right? But on an introduction level, everybody gets the introduction because you would want to see if this is for you or not, because of the level of business you're at. And then master classes, I think the biggest masterclass we had was our first masterclass we had last year on the 31st of January, when we had a masterclass in partnership with Distia with Professor Bonang Mohali, where we find like a big, renowned sort of speaker and then actually break down certain tips or certain sort of gaps that you guys should identify in your journey as an entrepreneur. So these master classes cost us quite a lot to actually do because, I mean, these renowned guys charge a lot. For example, Vusi Tembegwaya charges 75,000 just to come, and the ride is something else. So if it costs us that much, we need to recoup that money because the chamber is an NPC. We're a non-profit organization, non-profit company. So we need to recoup it, so we sell tickets. But on the level of the medium and big, you would get discounts. But on the other levels, you would have to buy tickets just like people from outside. And then trade missions, I think I touched on the trade mission issue earlier on. These are missions where we go to benchmark as businesses. It could be outside, it could be in another province, it could be in another city, it could be in another town. So these are missions that we go to actually get opportunities of trade and investment. The business chamber has a number of memorandums of understanding with different chambers outside. We have one with the Moscow Chamber of Commerce. We have one with the Madeira Chamber of Commerce. I think we also have one with South Asian Chamber of Commerce based in Singapore. In fact, on Thursday, I would be having a meeting with the South African Chamber of Commerce in Singapore. So these are things that we try and do to actually push those ones who've actually reached the ceiling in the Free State to actually go out and leverage off opportunities. And then I think the last one, Avril, now how does this work? Okay, cool. The last one is business tools. Business tools also comes with platforms such as Avril's, where you actually are exposed to a tool that actually allows you to actually grow and develop your business. So these would be software tools, this would be compliance tools, but basically things that make it easier for you to run and expand your business. Then you don't have to worry about certain things. So basically those are the value propositions that we have at the business chamber. And yeah, we would be more than happy to welcome you as a member. And remember, when you're a member of the chamber, you must give us feedback. If you come out of a session like this, and there were certain things that you picked up that we could improve on, feedback is important. So that next time when we have something like this, at least we could do it better and more closer to your expectations. So with no further ado, thank you very much, Errol. You could actually put on the lights again. Thank you very much for the session that you've actually provided. I think it was an eye-opener for a lot of us, myself included, because I'm also an entrepreneur. You can't work for the business chamber if you're not an entrepreneur. So it actually was an eye-opener, and we hope to be having more of these sessions. And just before I close, at the venue that we're at, I think some guys were saying to me, it's the first time I actually enter this venue. This is a museum that was created on behalf of the Free State Province. This is actually a UNESCO site and is recognized as one of the places in South Africa where our history is actually, anchored. So this is the Waaihoek Church. It's actually the establishment of the African National Congress. It's where the ANC actually started. And this is a venue we are actually allowed to use as a chamber for free. And I think you guys can come and access the venue as well, so that you can use it. But basically it's there for us to know what happened here and the heritage that is here. And if you guys, we would be using it every month as a business chamber in having different workshops. But because you're entrepreneurs, if you also have sessions, I'll also link you up with Prof, who will actually give you more information in terms of how you can access the venue and stuff. So it's this venue, and it's also the church itself. It's a nice, bigger sort of space where you can even hold your sessions or your events if you have. So thank you very much for pitching, guys, and hopefully this is the beginning of more and more sessions that we will have. Thank you very much.